Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my championship predictions video. My predictions of the Premier League is going to come in just a couple of days. So, because I need time to think about it. But today we'll be talking about the EFL Championship to see who I think is going down to League One and who has a shot to go to the top division. Here we go. Alright, like always videos, I always pick the 4 teams who I think is likely to potentially to be in the relegation fight, who's going to be going to Wembley, and more importantly, who I think has the best shot at getting to here. Alright, here we go. We got to start with the bat first, talk about who I believe might take the drop. Okay. Boy. Honestly, not much I could say about this one. Who I think might take the drop? Well, here's the most obvious one. It's QPR, Queen's Park Rangers. I mean, hard to believe just a few short years ago, they were in the Prem, and now they're on one of the favorites, according to the odds makers, of going down to League One. How is that even possible? Although, when we talk about kit releases, which don't worry, that video is coming out shortly in the next couple of days once I'm done with my Premier League videos. But that's not the point. Seriously. They should be nowhere near the relegation battle, but I'm sorry to say, they're one of my picks to possibly take the drop. I'm sorry. And here's another one here, Rotherham. Jeez, the transfer has just been nothing short of mediocre. I mean, sure, they got a couple of good signings, but other than that, yeah. But this one I think might be a bit controversial here. Yeah. It's Leeds. They're the long shot, but at the same time, long shot due to the ownership situation, but it's going to be a long, tough road for Leeds. In fact, I would not be shocked they pull a Sunderland, but I think it's more likely that Wigan pull a Sunderland than Leeds does, to be completely honest with you. And the last team who I think is probably one of the favorites to get relegated, that being Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, they won the playoff final at Wembley last season. But then, before the season even started, they fired the gaffer. Now, this one might very well be the same, because don't forget, this is going to be one of the most competitive. This is probably the most competitive conference in the EFL. So, yeah, I think it's probably likely either Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds, or QPR that are my picks to potentially take the drop. Who do I see going? Who do I think is going for the playoffs? Well, for one, I gotta have to say it. The team that made it last year, that came oh so close and losing in heartbreaking fashion, I have Coventry. Serious, I mean, a lot of the players that stayed on that team last year, oh, you know, they have extra motivation to go back. They got a great support base, great fans, a good manager, and hopefully they didn't lose too many pieces. I know the guy who missed a penalty kick, his contract expired. And honestly, I don't know where he ended up, to be completely honest. So yeah, I have Coventry being one of my picks to make the playoffs. And okay, I think I delayed the inevitable enough. We gotta talk about these guys. Sunderland. They're my second pick to make the playoffs, considering they got upset by Luton Town, and now they're in the Premier League. Honestly, they have the history to do it, but it's going to be a long road to see if they can try and go for automatics. And if it wasn't, and I'm going to be upfront, if it wasn't for how it happened last year in the Prem, they would have been in my automatic positions to go up. But unfortunately, due to what happened in the Prem last season on the final day, Sunderland isn't a shot for the playoffs. And okay, here's probably one that you did not expect for me to mention in the playoffs. I have Millwall. Well, I know last year they just missed out, unfortunately, but now they have extra motivation because their owner just passed away in a car crash. My thoughts and prayers go out to all the Millwall supporters. So yeah, this should give them extra motivation. They got a great support system, great manager, solid players. I think Millwall has the extra motivation to actually make through the playoffs, because I really would like to see the Lions Den host matches in the Premier League. The last team I think is going to make the playoffs, I gotta pick one of the Prem teams that got promoted from League One, and they have, and this is the team that has the best shirts in the championship, Plymouth Argyle. Now, hear me out. I do think Plymouth is going to make the playoffs. Now, here's the scary thing. Had the rumors of Schumacher going to Swansea were true, Plymouth would have been where Leeds was, on the verge of a relegation, in a relegation battle. Now I could see them very well making the playoff. Not only making the playoffs, if they do make the playoffs, they're my pick to win. So there you guys go. Plymouth Argyle. Sunderland, Millwall, and Cardiff are my 4 teams who I think are going to be shoo-ins for the playoff. Now, who are my 4 teams who I think are going to make the Prem? First one is Middlesbrough. Again, seriously, what is with them with their bad kits? I mean, seriously. I mean, although to be fair, that one looks pretty good, to be honest with you. But this year's one has the same design as the collars, like the NHL jerseys. But honestly, they made a lot of great signings, and I would not be shocked. This is the year Middlesbrough puts it all together, and Riverside hosts the Premier League once again. And at number 2, I have Southampton. And yes, they were the dead last, but I could very well see them either getting automatics or end up winning in the playoffs. But this is going to be a really competitive, and I could see Southampton staying up there. And hopefully they could try and pull a Burnley like Burnley did last year. So yeah, my second team, one of my favorites to win the league, is Southampton. And at number 3, this one might be the Cinderella pick. I have to say, Ipswich Town. Honestly, they could very well try and do something in this division. They got a great gaffer, great players, and honestly, I wasn't surprised they came in second because they were the class of the division along with Plymouth, which makes me kind of surprised they didn't make it far in the Papa John's Trophy, to be completely honest. So yeah, Ipswich is at 3, and now I think you know who my number 1 is, who I think, and I think this is the most likely team that's going to pull a Burnley. It's Leicester. Honestly, it was a crime that they went down. A team that shocked everyone by winning the Premier League in 2016 only to have the ultimate humiliation in getting relegated. Now the big question is, will they do it again if they go up? That remains to be seen, but they have solid owners, a fantastic practice facility that is too good for this division. And honestly, sure, they lost a lot of their big names, but they got a shit ton of cash and they invested it wisely in the playoffs. I do think Leicester's probably the odds-on favorite, and they are my pick to win the league and return to the Prem where they belong. See you next time, folks.